then gram, and here V3 stands for the block, not the zone. So please make this change, then please make this change, that we wrote V3 at this place, but must be there on the third place. Then so this way the division was there. So now let's look at the what's the last thing. So I think that we need to start from the Pallavas and Chalukyas, and then these are the small topics, and the most elaborate one in the ancient would be the mainline Chola. So what we have seen till now, that Guptas we completed. After the Guptas, we read about the Pushyabhuti, particularly Harsvardhan, and in South India, we talked about those three Sangam dynasties, Chola, Chera, and Pandyas. So what I mentioned yesterday itself, that out of these three Sangam dynasties, the Cholas started to disappear by 550, and by 550, some new dynasties started to emerge in the South India, in the erstwhile area of the Cholas. And one was the Chalukyas of Badami, and second was the Pallavas of Kanchi. So we need to see a little bit about them. Moreover, that Pallavas and Chalukyas, they would be mentioned in the art and culture, because their most important contribution was towards the temple architecture. So there also we'll be reading about them, but here we will look at their political things associated with them. So you can write as a subheading Pallava Chalukya, then Pallava and Chalukya. So we are looking at them combinedly. Now listen, their emergence started by 550, and by 600 AD, the time of the Harsvardhan. So by 600 AD, these two dynasties were firmly established in the South India. One was on the eastern side and one was on the western side of the South India. So on the western side would be Chalukyas, and then on the eastern side it is the Pallavas. So these two dynasties, they were firmly established in the early 7th century AD, that is 600 onwards. So from the very beginning, these two dynasties, they started to fight with each other. Then from the very beginning, they started to fight with each other, and we need to know that what was the reason that why they were fighting with each other. So let me draw this map and locate these people. So when it comes to this Pallava Chalukya, so already you have seen that this area was what the Cheras, and here Pandyas were there. Now the area of that, this you can say that will go with the Chalukya. I think yesterday also I created, and this area is going with the Pallavas. One very important river is there in this area. You know that Kaveri is one important, but another very important river in this area, which is starting from here, and that is the one is the Kaveri, and another is the Tungabhadra. So this I am writing as the Tungabhadra river. So the area between this Tungabhadra and Kaveri, and also at this place there is the Krishna river. So this is that you, when you'll be reading geography, so you'll be reading that the area between the two rivers, often they are very fertile. Then so this area of the Tungabhadra river was very fertile, and it was called as Raichur Doab. Raichur Doab. Doab is what? The area between the two rivers, and you know it is very fertile. So both the dynasties wanted to control this area between Raichur Doab or Tungabhadra Doab. You can also mention it as a Tungabhadra Doab. So they wanted to control this Tungabhadra Doab, and that's why they were fighting with each other very frequently. Then, so they were fighting with each other very frequently, and both the dynasties, they tested victory and defeat. So let's talk about the first such big battle between the two dynasties. And so the most important initial ruler, and in fact he was the most important ruler, so that was the Pulakesin II, whom we talked over there with the Harsvardhan also. So Pulakesin II was the ruler over here in the Chalukya area, and Chalukya was from Badami. Nowadays, Badami is also known as Vatapi. So Badami or Vatapi, and these people were Pallavas were from Kanchi. Kanchi is the adjacent district of the Chennai. So this, they in the very first battle, Pulakesin II fought with the Mahendra Varman of the Pallava, and he defeated Mahendra Varman in this battle. He defeated Mahendra Varman in this battle, and moreover, he also captured very important area of the Pallavas, that was the Vengi, and that was Vengi. So Vengi is somewhere over here, Vengi, and Vengi is, it is the old name of the one of the name of the present day capital of the Andhra Pradesh, that is Amravati. So he captured this Vengi or Amravati. So now after some point of time Mahendra Varman died, and then his son, Mahendra Varman's son, Narsimha Varman, decided that he will be taking the revenge of his father's defeat, and moreover, father's defeat, and then he will capture this very fertile area. So, in the second battle, Narsimha Varman, he defeated and captured Chalukya capital, Badami. So he defeated Pulakesin II and captured Chalukya capital of Badami or Vatapi. So you have seen that this Chalukya person, Pulakesin II, he has defeated Harshvardhan at one end, he has defeated Mahendra Varman at one end, and finally he is getting defeated by the Narsimha Varman. So please write few words about this dynasty. So you write, by the end of 6th century AD, by the end of 6th century AD, 6th century AD, two important dynasties emerged, two important dynasties emerged in South India. Two important dynasties emerged in South India, which were Chalukyas of Badami, Chalukyas of Badami, and Pallavas of Kanchi, Kanchi, Pallavas of Kanchi, Chalukyas of Badami and Pallavas of Kanchi. Then further you mention after that Kanchi. From the very beginning, both the dynasties started to fight with each other. Both the dynasties started to fight with each other, on the question of controlling very fertile Tungabhadra Doab. Doab is a fertile region between the rivers. DOAB. Tungabhadra Doab. Then you mention initially Chalukya ruler Pulakesin II defeated Pallava ruler Mahendra Varman. And captured area of Vengi. Captured area of Vengi. Then further you mention area of Vengi. So this area of Vengi which Pulakesin II controlled, he gave it to his brother Vishnuvardhan. Then so he is handing over this area to the Vishnuvardhan. I will use this particular information somewhere else also, but for the time being you write the area of Vengi was handed over to Vishnuvardhan. Vishnuvardhan, who later founded eastern branch of Chalukya. Who later founded eastern branch of Chalukya. Who later founded eastern branch of Chalukya. Full stop, change paragraph. Who later founded eastern branch of Chalukya, situated in Vengi. So now, next information. Already I have mentioned. So change paragraph and then you mention. Mahendra Varman's son, Narsimha Varman, Mahendra Varman's son, Narsimha Varman, decided to take revenge and capture the fertile area. Capture the fertile area. As such, he attacked on Chalukya capital Badami. And defeated Pulakesin II. Then further you mention defeated Pulakesin II. He also captured Chalukya capital. Badami or Vatapi. To celebrate this victory, he took the title of Vatapi Kondi. To celebrate this victory, he took the title of Vatapi Kondi. So meaning of this word Kondi, that Vatapi is the capital, and then Kondi, this word, its meaning is that conqueror of the Vatapi. So conqueror of the Vatapi. So this was the one episode, but otherwise, when you look at the Chalukya and Pallava history, they are not remembered for their very frequent wars, but they are remembered for their contribution to the architecture, particularly temple architecture. Both were one of the finest temple builders in the South India. On one hand, Pallavas are the one who initiated the Dravida style of the temple architecture. Initially, they initiated rock-cut cave architecture, which transformed itself into the Dravida style of temple architecture. And on the other hand, Chalukyas were responsible for creation of the Vesara style of temple architecture. These two will be seeing in detail in culture. So please write few words, change paragraph, and then you mention. Both the dynasties are known for their contribution to the temple art in South India. in South India. Temple art in South India. Full stop. Then you mention South India. Full stop. Pallavas initiated rock cut, rock cut, initiated rock cut architecture, initiated rock cut architecture, which later transformed itself, into Dravida style of temple architecture, which later transformed itself into Dravida style of temple architecture. Dravida style of temple architecture. Dravida style of temple architecture. Then full stop. Then you mention after full stop, Chalukyas initiated Vesara style of temple art. Vesara style of temple art. So Chalukyas initiated Vesara style of temple art. So this is about that these two dynasties, but as I said to you that there would be further elaboration about their temple art. So these we are going to study in quite detail later on. Then, so next after this Pallava Chalukya, they are continuing over there in the South India. Now again I will come back to the north part. As I said to you that Harshvardhan, he died somewhere around 647 and his dynasty continued for the time being, but by 700 again a vacuum was created in the North India. Particularly not just the north here, whenever I say north, it's not just by the direction, but it means the upper part of the country. Here you just, whenever you hear north, so just understand that it includes the western part also, it includes the eastern part also, and the central part also, half of the central parts. Or you can also say that the area above river Narmada, I am saying as a kind of North India. So again vacuum was created in the north, and So what happened that this vacuum was filled by 750 AD, and not by just one dynasty, but three dynasties came to picture, and three dynasties, one was on the eastern side of the country, that is Bihar, Bengal, this area. So here Pal dynasty emerged. In the western part of the country, that is the Rajasthan part, and Rajasthan including the Punjab and including the Sindh part of the Pakistan. So in these all area that Pratihar Gurjar dynasty emerged, and in the central India, which will cover the area of the Maharashtra and also the area of the Karnataka. So area of the Maharashtra, Karnataka, there was one dynasty that was the Rashtrakoot. So these three dynasties emerged by 750 AD. So we will see that what kind of information is there about them. And then after, one more thing I need to tell you, that out of this Chalukya and Pallava who are there, by 900, both the power of both the dynasties is going to get weakened, but somehow Chalukyas are going to survive. Then, because there are many branches will appear in the Chalukyas. In fact, that there would be one branch of the Chalukya which would be created in Kalyan. Kalyan, you know, that closer to Bombay. So that branch is there till Gujarat, and there is this eastern branch of the Chalukya which was created by the brother of the Pulakesin II, Vishnuvardhan, and one branch of the Badami which was already there. So Chalukya somehow survive, but they are not very important. They are not very powerful. But Pallavas will completely disappear, and Pallavas will disappear by 890, or you can say that by 900 they will disappear, and place of the Pallava is taken by the Again, one very powerful dynasty, that is mainline Chola or Imperial Chola. So Imperial Chola dynasty. Now you can ask a question that what about the Chola which we studied in the Sangam period, and what about this? Is there a correlation? So not formally established, but there are historians who tell that though the Cholas of the Sangam period, they lost their position by 600, but somehow they were surviving and they regained their position by 890 in the form of the Imperial Chola. So nothing is very formally clear, but yes, it can be said that there was some connection between the mainline Chola and the early Chola that we studied in the Sangam period. So let's begin with the, now from the south we are moving to the area which were controlled by the Harshvardhan and who is going to come to appear in this area. So what you can mention over here, just start writing few words about that. So you write after the demise of Pushyabhuti dynasty, after the demise of Pushyabhuti dynasty and and defeat of Pulakesin second, Pulakesin second, a vacuum was created, in the north and central India. A vacuum was created in the north and central India. A vacuum was created in the north and central India. Then further you mention, by 750 AD, three dynasties emerged. So one by one we are going to mention these three dynasties. So let's begin with the very first dynasty, Pal dynasty of East. Pal dynasty of East. Pal dynasty of East. And here Bihar, Bengal. This is the East area. So Bihar, Bengal. So Pal dynasty of East. Now, the founder of this dynasty, here also you need to write the way we have written things in the Sangam period. So the founder of this dynasty was Gopal. So Gopal was the founder of this dynasty by 750 AD. In fact, there was a question this year paper, something related to chronology only. Just check the question, that what was the question, and then see that if you are able to address or not. In fact, you will be able to address. It was an easy question if you remember just class notes then. So founder was Gopal. Then most important ruler was Dharmpal. Most important ruler of this Pal dynasty was Dharmpal. Then, now listen. So what was the contribution of this particular ruler, Dharmpal? We have studied about the Nalanda University. And when it comes to that, who created Nalanda University, you have written Kumar Gupta was the founder of the Nalanda University. But at this point of time, when Dharmapal was the Pal dynasty ruler, this Nalanda area is coming under his control. So what he did, that at this point of time, the Nalanda University, which was dwindling for the resources, so what he did, that he granted 200 villages to Nalanda University for its upkeep and maintenance. Now you'll be asking that what benefit that they will get from the 200 villages. So basically that whatever income that is coming from, that tax income that is coming from these 200 villages, that will go into the funds of the Nalanda University. So he granted 200 villages for the upkeep and maintenance of the Nalanda University, and moreover, he is also the founder of some other universities in India. So in fact, that Takshashila and Nalanda are the very popular ones, but there is one more university which became very popular at this point of time, and its founder was the Dharmapal, that is the Vikramshila University. And he does not limited himself to the Vikramshila University, but he also created two more university at Odantapura and Somrup. So Odantapura and Somrup and Vikramshila, so these three universities came to picture at this point of time during the tenure of the Dharmapal. So first you write, he granted 200, 200, he granted 200 villages to Nalanda University. He granted 200 villages to Nalanda University for its upkeep and maintenance. For its upkeep and maintenance. For its upkeep and maintenance. For its upkeep and maintenance, full stop. Then you write, he was also the founder of University of Vikramshila, University of Vikramshila, Odantapura, and Somrup. Odantapura and Somrup. University of Vikramshila, Odantapura and Somrup. Then Somrup. And these people, that Pal dynasty, they were the followers of the Buddhism, that they followed Buddhist faith. And there is one more such part that during the Pal rulers that happened. So the miniature painting started at their time. Then, so this is the first dynasty when during whose tenure miniature painting started in India. So again, what I'm saying, again we'll be reading about this miniature painting in the painting section of the art and culture. So please write these few words. Pal rulers were the followers of Buddhism. Pal rulers were the followers of Buddhism. Full stop. During their tenure, miniature painting started in India. Miniature painting during their tenure, miniature painting started in India. Miniature painting started in India. So this is about the Pal dynasty of the East. Now let's move to the next dynasty, that is the Pratihar Gurjar of the West. So please mention Pratihar Gurjar dynasty of West. Pratihar Gurjar dynasty of West, particularly the Rajasthan area, which will include Udaipur, these all areas, that entire Rajasthan, and then parts in the Pakistan also. So this Pratihar Gurjar dynasty of the West, the person who is considered as the founder or the initial ruler of this Pratihar Gurjar dynasty, his name was Nagabhat. Then, so Nagabhat, and it is also said that Nagabhat during his tenure, he repelled one Arab invader. I'll talk about this Arab invader in today's class itself. Done. So he repelled one Arab invader. Moreover, the most important ruler of this Pratihar Gurjar dynasty was the Mihir Bhoj. So we need to talk about him. And one more thing, that they Gurjar is a word that you must be aware with, that even till this date that there are some caste which are named as Gurjar, and in fact that Delhi, it's a place which everybody hijacks this place, and there is often a protest and this kind of thing. I very well remember that during my own preparation time, there was a kind of very severe protest of the Gurjars in Delhi, and they were asking for the reservation in the exams, and they blockade not only the railways. It's not the first time that somebody is blockading the roads of the Delhi, but I have seen many a time. So they blockade not only road, railways, but they also cut the supplies, water supply to the Delhi. So the question to the protesters, no matter that for whichever cause you are protesting, that's your right, you can protest. But is it right that uh, against the right of the people of Delhi, against the right to life of the people of Delhi, you are demanding for something? So you cannot, that you must think that if you are right in your demands, so the means should also be right. Then today somebody, that some people are protesting, tomorrow again some people will again come for the protest and then movement. But if you have grievances with the government, blockade their houses, blockade the governmental areas, not the entire Delhi. We, the citizens of Delhi, we are getting affected by this blockade. So, yes, I hope that you are reaching to the point where I want you to reach, that I'm talking about the farmers' protest. So, it is right or not? Then that's not the case for me. Then that's not the case for me, that it is right or not. But the case is that whatever, you have the right to protest, but the right to protest must not be hampering the other's life. Then if you are demanding for yourself, so please take care of others also. Then so we don't know that what will happen in next month or so. Already the prices in the Delhi has started to suit up, and prices have started to suit up, and then daily convenience is hampered. If somebody is going to Noida, Ghaziabad or Gurgaon for their work, so if you want to reach by 9 o'clock, so you need to start from your home by 5 o'clock. So let's get back to this one. I don't know from where I came over here. So what I was talking about, so this Gurjar. So Gurjar is a one such that one such community which is there from the long time. Now the Pratihar word which is added to this dynasty is basically that they were the devotees of the brother of the Lord Ram, Lakshman. So Lakshman was known as the Pratihar. So that's why this dynasty is called as the Pratihar Gurjar. Means that the Gurjars who were the devotees of the Lakshman. That's the meaning of the overall word. Then, so please write that the uh, the initial ruler, the initial ruler of this dynasty was Nag Bhatt. The initial ruler of this dynasty was Nag Bhatt. Nag Bhatt. Full stop. It is said about him, it is said about him that he repelled, that he repelled one Arab invader, he repelled one Arab invader from western side. One Arab invader from western side. Then you mention the most important ruler, the most important ruler of this dynasty was Mihir Bhoj. The most important ruler of this dynasty was Mihir Bhoj. Mihir Bhoj. Now listen little bit about the Mihir Bhoj. So Mihir Bhoj, he was devotee of Lord Vishnu then, and this person was devotee of Vishnu. And you know, there is a one incarnation of the Vishnu which is known as the Varaha. So Varaha, it is the boar incarnation of Vishnu. So boar incarnation of Vishnu. So he took the title of Mihir Bhoj took the title of Adi Varaha. Adi Varaha, and which indicates that he was a devotee of Vishnu. Then he is also responsible for creating the strongest army of that time in India, particularly strongest army of that time in India, and that was possible because of that Mihir Bhoj procured very good quality of horses from the Central Asia. So please write Mihir Bhoj. Mihir Bhoj was devotee of Mihir Bhoj was devotee of Lord Vishnu. Was devotee of Lord Vishnu, and he took the title of Adi Varaha. He took the title of Adi Varaha. Title of Adi Varaha. Then you mention he also he also initiated Gurjar style of temple. He also initiated construction of he also initiated construction of Gurjar style of temple in West. Gurjar style of temple in West. So this Gurjar style is basically a subtype of the Nagar temple. We'll be seeing that later. So it is a subtype of the Nagar temple, but some little bit of differences would be there. Moreover, you write after full stop. During this time, during this time, during this time, Gurjars created strongest Gurjars created strongest cavalry created strongest cavalry, full stop. They procured they procured very good quality of horses, very good quality of horses from Central Asia. They procured very good quality of horses from Central Asia. Central Asia. 10. So this is one aspect. There is a one more aspect of all the three dynasties, but let me discuss these all three. Then I'll tell you that last, the struggle between these three dynasties. So let's come to the last dynasty, that is the Central Asian, not Central Asian, Central India, and that is the Rashtrakoot dynasty of Central India. Rashtrakoot dynasty of Central India. Now I will be creating one map also so that you come to know where. Just give me a minute. गया हीटर लगाइए ठंड लग रही है so just look at that where these all dynasties were there and there was one place which all these three dynasties they were trying to control and this place is over here okay I'll tell you this place later all the three dynasties wanted to have control on this place. So when it comes to the area of the Pratihar Gurjar, so Pratihar Gurjar, they controlled the area from here. Just one minute. Pratihar Gurjar from here. This is the area of Pratihar Gurjar. Then the Pal dynasty, so Palas, their area would be from here. And why I'm creating an overlapping portion, you will understand later. And when it comes to Rashtrakutas, so Rashtrakutas start from the upper half of the Karnataka and it goes like this way. So this area I'm writing as Rashtrakuta, this one Pal and this one Gurjar, Pratihar Gurjar. So these three areas. Now you must be thinking that what is this middle portion where this overlapping thing is there, and you must have seen in the syllogism and then Venn diagrams, it is a kind of a not exactly Venn diagram, but in Venn diagrams you see these overlapping portions. This area is the city of the Kannauj. Everybody wanted to have control on the Kannauj. That's why I said something to you yesterday that everybody wanted to have control on Kannauj. So Kannauj was the most important place at this point of time. All these dynasties, they wanted to have control on the Kannauj. Then, so they were fighting for the Kannauj, all the three dynasties, and it is known for the tripartite struggle between them for Kannauj. I will tell you who was victorious for the final time and who would be controlling Kannauj finally. But first you write about this Rashtrakuta dynasty. So this Rashtrakuta dynasty, it emerged by 757 AD and the person who was founder of this dynasty was Danti Durg. Danti Durg. ठीक है. So person was Danti Durg and by 757 AD it was created. So please write few words about the Rashtrakuta dynasty. That this dynasty was founded by glare तो नहीं आ रहा है थोड़ा सा आ रहा है बोर्ड पे या कैमरे that we have just I have just got it installed one heater over here. I told you that it's a bone chilling cold. So I was just asking that if at all is there any glare on the board. So Tanya and Bhargavi, you can comment on this that if at all any glare is there on the board, so we will place the heater at some place else or the downside then. So listen what I was telling that Danti Durg was the founder by 757 AD. And this dynasty, so here some interesting takes are there in this dynasty. So after the Danti Durg, the second ruler of this dynasty, his name was Krishna I. So Krishna I, and this particular person is remembered for one of his contribution. What was his contribution? No glare. Okay, thank you. So that's fine. Yesterday evening, there was after you guys that your class was over. There was one class from 5 to 8. I was literally shaking in the class because of that cold. So it was hell lot of cold over here, and we don't know that till what time it will go on, but hopefully this 1 week it is going to continue. Chalo, thank you Bhargavi for the comment. So Krishna one was the second ruler, and Krishna one was the second ruler. What was his contribution? That he was the one who created this very famous temple in the Ellora, and this very famous temple in the Ellora is, what is the name? So this is Kailasnath Temple of Ellora. Kailasnath Temple of Ellora. The speciality of this Kailasnath temple of Ellora is it is a monolith temple. Then so it is a monolith temple. The meaning of word monolith is created from single stone. Then so it is created from single stone. So it is a monolith temple which is created from single stone. Moreover, this is not just the single stone monolith or kind of a temple created in Ellora, but it is also considered as one of the architectural wonders of India. So I'll tell you some details about this temple, that why it is called as the architectural wonder of India. But first you write, the second ruler of this dynasty, the second ruler of this dynasty the second ruler of this dynasty was Krishna I. Was Krishna I. Krishna I. Then you write, he created Kailasnath Temple of Ellora. Kailasnath Temple of Ellora in Maharashtra. You know that it is Aurangabad district of the Maharashtra where this Ellora caves are there. So Kailasnath Temple of Ellora, full stop. Then you write, it is a monolith temple. It is a monolith temple created from single stone. Meaning of the monolith is the single stone, but I'm kind of expression wise, grammatically it will not be correct that you are saying that monolith temple created from single stone. That means same, but just for understanding I'm mentioning this. So monolith temple that is created from single stone. Then further you write, it is considered as one of the architectural wonder of India. It is considered as one of the architectural wonder of India. One of the architectural wonder of India. Then, so now listen that why it is called as the one of the architectural wonder. Listen few words about this. So first of all, I'll tell you one story related to this particular temple. The wife of this particular ruler, Krishna I, she was devotee of Lord Shiva and Parvati. So it is said that one fine night that she had a dream, and in this dream she saw a particular temple. And the very first thing that she was seeing in her dream was the top of the temple. And slowly in her dream, the sequence was that first she saw that top of the temple, then slowly her gaze is going down till the base of the temple. And she also very well remembered that what kind of designs were there in the dream sequence. So very next morning, she explained this to the ruler that I have seen this temple and this kind of design is there, and these all type of specimens are presented in the temple. So please construct the temple the way I have seen it in the dreams. And you know, the people of that time, they were highly religious. Even till this date, that people are highly religious. Some are in reality highly religious, and some on face they are very highly religious. So when she explained this to the Krishna one, so he decided that he would be creating this temple the way the lady wanted. So the temple construction going against the established methods of the construction, the temple construction started from top and then it was completed that from top and slowly they were going down. So top down approach was followed for the temple construction, which itself is a difficult thing. Generally, temple construction starts from the bottom and then it goes to the top. But here, the temple construction, since they were cutting the rock, so it was possible that you cut the rock from the top and slowly you cut the rock on the downside. So top-down approach was followed in the temple construction. Moreover, there is a one very famous BBC documentary about this, and not just the BBC. I think that I have seen that National Geographic documentary also, and Discovery documentary also on this particular temple. So all these documentary, what they are arriving at, they all say that it is not possible to create such a humongous temple within such a small span of time, or very less number of years, and this temple was completed within a very short span of time. Moreover, these documentaries, they estimated that the amount of rock which was removed from this temple, it was not possible to remove that rock even in 10 years with the modern technology. Then so that's why it is considered as the architectural wonder. One more factor, that this huge amount of rock which was removed from this area, this rock has not been found any place else. Then so this rock has not been found any place else, and there were many in the modern era, in the modern age, there were many searches, researches about that where this rock is, that if that temple is constructed, so that rock which is removed, it must be lying somewhere. If not in the open, so must be in the Indian Ocean, then must be in the nearby seas or area, but they didn't found this rock. So this is still a mystery, that when the rock was removed, where is that rock? So there are many mysterious details about this temple, but one fact is very clear, that it is considered as the one of the architectural wonder of India. So please mention. You have written Kailasnath temple, which is this particular monolith. Then you write, it is considered as one of the architectural wonder of India. Considered as one of the architectural wonder of India. One of the architectural wonder of India, full stop. Then now come to the next important, most important ruler. So the most important ruler of this dynasty was Amoghvars. Amoghvars was the most important ruler, and listen about him. So Amoghvars was the most important ruler, and during his tenure, there was great patronage to the Kannada language. Then, so great patronage to the Kannada language. He himself was a great poet, and in fact that he wrote the first poetics in the Kannada language. The name of this first poem in Kannada language was the Kaviraj Marg. Kaviraj Marg. You can say that this is the first poem in the Kannada language which was written by the Amoghvars. And there is one more detail about the Amoghvars, that Amoghvars was the follower of the Jainism, and after Chandragupta Maurya, he is considered as the second monarch from India who followed Salekhana and ended his life in typical Jain fashion. So he also followed Salekhana. The thing that was done by the Chandragupta Maurya, again followed by the Amoghvars. So please write, Amoghvars was the most important ruler of Rashtrakuta. Amoghvars was the most important ruler of Rashtrakuta. Most important ruler of Rashtrakuta. Then you mention, he patronized Kannada language. And he he wrote first poetics in Kannada. He wrote first poetics in Kannada, that is Kaviraj Marg. That is Kaviraj Marg. Poetics in Kannada, that is Kaviraj Marg. Full stop. Then you mention perhaps he is the second monarch from ancient India. Perhaps he is the second monarch from ancient India who performed Sallekkhana. Who performed Sallekkhana. Who performed Sallekkhana. Full stop. Now, so who performed Sallekkhana? So all these three dynasties we have mentioned, not in very detail, but the important information which is required, that's there with you. So last thing that I need to mention, that there was this tripartite struggle between these three dynasties. And why this struggle? To control the Kannauj. And in this struggle, finally, Pratihar Gurjar were victorious. So please change paragraph and then you write that there was tripartite struggle. There was tripartite, how you will be writing? P-A-R-T-I-T-E. Tripartite struggle between the three dynasties. Tripartite struggle between the three dynasties to control between the three dynasties to control Kannauj. To control Kannauj, in which finally Pratihars were successful. In which finally Pratihars were successful. So this is about these three dynasties. And now come to the last portion of the ancient, that is mainline Chola dynasty or the imperial Chola rulers. Then so mainline Chola or imperial Chola rulers. So who is going to disappear from the South India? Particularly Pallavas. And basically this mainline Chola or imperial Chola, they were the feudatories of the Pallavas, and once they got the opportunity, so they established their rule by 900 AD. So by the end of the 9th century AD, they established their rule. And in this map itself, let me create the area of this Cholas, mainline Cholas. So when they are going to come to power, so they will capture this much area, that in this would be the area of the mainline Chola, this entire. Though the Chera and Pandyas are there, but finally they will be defeated by this mainline or imperial Chola. So please mention imperial Chola, or mainline Chola. So listen. So this imperial Cholas, they were the feudatories of the Pallava. And by the end of the 9th century, that is 890, somewhere around close to 890, a person named as Vijayalai founded this mainline Chola dynasty, and he usurped the power from the Pallava rulers. And then after him, that there were rulers like Parantak I and Aditya, who further, Parantak I, Aditya, they further expanded the domain of the imperial Chola rulers. But the most important ruler of this dynasty was the Rajaraja Chola, who came to power somewhere around 985. Then, so we need to talk about Rajaraja Chola, and then his son Rajendra Chola was also in fact one of the most important ruler. So there were two most important ruler. One is the Rajaraja Chola and second is his son Rajendra Chola. So please write few initial words about this imperial Chola. Right? They were they were feudatories of Pallava. They were feudatories of Pallava. Feudatory, I hope you know, Darbari. So feudatories of Pallava. Then you write, by the end of 9th century AD, by the end of 9th century AD, Vijayale, Vijayale, Vijayale usurped, how you'll be writing usurp, USURPED, meaning छीन लिया. Then, so usurped power from Pallavas. Power from Pallavas. Usurped power from Pallavas and established mainline Chola dynasty. And established mainline Chola dynasty in south. Then the Chola territory was further expanded by the next ruler. The Chola territory was further expanded by the next ruler, Parantak and Aditya. Parantak and Aditya. Parantak and Aditya. See, when you are in North India, you don't write H with T. When you're writing Aditya, you don't write H with T. But when you are in South India, so you need to write T and H together. The word Tha, that's how it is written in the South. So Aditya. Then you write, after full stop, the most important ruler of mainline Chola was Rajaraja Chola. Let me write on the board. So most important ruler of mainline Chola was Rajaraja Chola and his son Rajendra Chola. And his son Rajendra Chola. Rajaraja Chola and his son Rajendra Chola. Then now listen, little bit about the Rajaraja Chola. So Rajaraja Chola, when he came to power, somewhere around 985, he came to power, and he was in fact that in the beginning that he was the most important ruler. And Rajaraja Chola, what he did that he defeated the Cheras at Trivandrum and Pandyas at Madurai, and he also annexed considerable part of the Chera territory and then also the Pandya kingdom. He also he also captured the northern Sri Lanka, the present day Jaffna area, which is there in the Sri Lanka. So he also captured northern Sri Lanka. So though he has not completely captured these all areas, but considerable part of these all areas he has captured. Moreover, one of the very biggest contribution of this particular person, Rajaraja Chola, was that he led the foundation of one of the very famous temple of India. Name of this temple is the Brihadeswar temple of Tanjore. So Brihadeswar temple of Tanjore, whose foundation was led in 1011 AD by Rajaraja Chola, and in fact it was also that this temple is also one of the architectural wonder of India. And not only the one of the architectural wonder, but by the time of the independence, even till 1960s, the temple's tower was the highest in India. Nowadays, there are many temples which have much bigger towers, but till this point of time, till 1960s, it was the tower of this temple was highest. Then which was somewhere around 68-meter high. So please write Rajaraja Chola defeated Cheras at Trivandrum, Tiruvananthapuram. You can mention Trivandrum or Tiruvananthapuram. Defeated Cheras at Trivandrum. Meanwhile, if you want to, since we are in the last leg of the ancient, after this topic, I'll give you a break and then we'll start with the medieval. So if you have any questions, please ask. Then please send your questions. I'll be replying while I'm elaborating about this one. So you write that Rajaraja Chola defeated the Cheras at Trivandrum and Pandyas at Madurai. And Pandyas at Madurai. And Pandyas at Madurai, full stop. Then you mention and Pandyas at Madurai. He also annexed northern part of Sri Lanka. He also annexed northern part of Sri Lanka. He also annexed northern part of Sri Lanka and considerable part of Chera and Pandyas. And considerable part of Cheras and Pandyas. Then you write, in 1011 AD, he led the foundation of Brihadeshwar temple. In 1011 AD, he led the foundation of Brihadeshwar temple at Tanjore. Brihadeshwar temple at Tanjore. Brihadeshwar temple at Tanjore, which is also considered as one of the architectural wonders of India. One of the architectural wonders of India. Now let me tell you, in 2013, by this time this temple completed 1000 years. So it was expected that some year, kabhi to kabhi question पूछेंगे. So it was expected that question will come from the Brihadeshwar temple, and in fact they asked. So they the surprise element was not there when the question came from the Brihadeshwar temple, because it was expected that 1000 year and one of the architectural wonder. So rather than saying that write the features of the Brihadeshwar temple, what was mentioned in the question, that write the features of the Chola temple. Then so basically what is that? First Chola temple, or the biggest, the most important example of the Chola temple is the Brihadeshwar. And this Chola temple is what? This is a Dravida style of temple architecture. So whatever you will be reading in the Dravida style of temple architecture, whatever features, exactly same things you can write in the features of the Brihadeshwar temple. Then, so this temple completed 1000 years. It was asked why it is also, just the way I said to you that why Kailasnath was architectural wonder, here also you need to understand that why it was a architectural wonder. First of all, in this temple, please don't write, these all things will be writing in the art and culture, but मैं एक बार फिर से बता दे रहा हूँ कि what were the features. So first of all, this temple has a very high tower, that was 68-meter high tower, and moreover, the temple construction did not involve any cementing agent. Then so the rocks which are there, which are the building blocks of this temple, these rocks were interlinked with each other, or you can say that they were placed in puzzle technique. Then puzzle technique means that interlocking pattern was created in the rocks, and that's how they were fixed with each other. So no use of the cementing agent. Moreover, the type of the stones which were used, it was not easily that it was not very closer to this particular Tanjore area. In fact, the same kind of rock can be obtained, it was not there even in 300-kilometer area. So it means that this rock has come from a long distance. Moreover, on the top of this temple, there is one cupola which was placed, and the weight of this cupola, the topmost portion of this particular temple, the cupola is 88 ton. Then so 88 ton. And it was often a surprise for the people, for the historians, for archaeologists, that how come such a high stone was transported to the top of the temple. There are many theories which were proposed regarding this. Let me create one diagram so that you can understand कि किस चीज के बारे में मैं बात कर रहा हूँ. So let me create one diagram this of this temple, that this is the way that general structure of the temple, and here this 88 ton this kind of stone, artistic stone is there, which is called as the octagonal cupola. So this cupola, there were many theories that how it was transported. So the one very accepted theory is that from both the sides of the temple, ramps were created, and both the sides of the temple ramps were created, and elephants they carried this ton, that this stone on the top of the temple here, and then they dismounted from other side. So this is the theory which is kind of most accepted, that how this particular stone was transported to this top. Then, and nowadays it is easier for us. We have so many high cranes, then that so many high cranes are there. With the crane you can transport to any place. Then, and technology is day by day it is advancing. But at that point of time, if they are able to build such a high temple, such a tall tower, so that itself is a amazement. So please mention what you have mentioned, Brihadeshwara temple and 1011 AD. So these features I'm not mentioning here. एक बार जब वापस द्रविड़ा पढ़ेंगे, so there I will be dictating this part. Then, so I just mentioned over here that what were the features of this temple, and moreover why it is considered as the architectural wonder of India. And one thing, that this temple is dedicated to Lord Shiva. Brihadeshwar is a term for the Lord Shiva. So this is dedicated to Lord Shiva. Now, so after the death of the Rajaraja I, his son Rajendra I Chola, he became the ruler, and he was the most powerful ruler of the Cholas. So what the work which was started by his father, that his father defeated Chera, Pandyas and Sri Lankan ruler, he completed it. What he did, that he completely defeated Cheras, completely defeated Pandyas, and also completely annexed Sri Lanka. So now Chera area going completely under the Rajendra I, and then also the Pandyas and also the Sri Lanka. There is one more episode of the Rajendra I, not one more, two episodes that I'll be discussing. But first you write, the next ruler, you change paragraph and then you mention, the next ruler, Rajendra I Chola, was the most powerful Chola ruler. Rajendra I Chola was the most powerful Chola ruler. Then you mention, he completely annexed Chera kingdom. Pandyas and Sri Lanka. Listen, after this episode, what he did, that perhaps he was the first ruler from this area who successfully defeated a ruler in the northern part of the country. So this Rajendra I, he marched towards the Gangetic plains, and in the Gangetic plains he defeated the Pal ruler Mahipal. So he crossed the Ganga river, and then he defeated this ruler of the Gangetic plain, Mahipal, of the Pal dynasty. And it is surprising that though he defeated Mahipal, but he did not capture that area. In fact, he came back to his own place, and he celebrated this victory by creating a city on the banks of river Kaveri, and name of this city was the Gangai Konda Cholapuram. So Gangai Konda Cholapuram, meaning that the person who was victorious in the Gangetic Delta, and then he has created a temple in the commemoration of that Gangetic Delta victory. So you write that Rajendra first marched towards Gangetic Plains, marched towards Gangetic Plain and defeated Mahipal, of Gangetic Delta, defeated Mahipal of Gangetic Delta, Mahipal of Gangetic Delta. In fact, he was a Pal ruler. Then you write, to celebrate this victory, he created a city on the banks of river Kaveri. He created a city on the banks of river Kaveri known as Gangai Kond Cholapuram. Gangai Kond Cholapuram. Known as Gangai Kond Cholapuram. Then you further mention, listen. So this is one episode. There is one more episode related to Rajendra I. Perhaps he was the first Indian ruler who crossed the Bay of Bengal and attacked on the Malay Peninsula. What is this Malay Peninsula? You know, Malaysia. So Malaysia, that since name Malay Peninsula, so obviously Malaysia would be there. Then after Malaysia, the Indonesian islands. Then so he attacked on Malaysia and Indonesian islands, and he defeated the ruler of this area, Sri Vijay, and invaded or looted the cities of the Sri Vijay. But though he did not establish his rule over there, and he came back, but this particular invasion of the Rajendra I in the Malay Peninsula led to the cultural exchange between the two regions, then which will flourish even in the medieval time. So this cultural exchange is going to start between the two regions after the invasion of the Rajendra I in this area. So you write that perhaps Rajendra I was the first Indian ruler who crossed Bay of Bengal and invaded cities of Sri Vijay in Malay Peninsula. Cities of Sri Vijay in Malay Peninsula. Malay Peninsula. Full stop. After this invasion, cultural exchange between India and Malay Peninsula started. Cultural exchange between India and Malay Peninsula started. So this is about this particular, that the important leaders are rulers of this particular Chola dynasty, but we need to discuss one more aspect of these Cholas. And they were good in many senses, these particular people, that there are many first which are attached to these people. So first of all, like the way I mentioned in the Gupta's administrative units, here also I'll be mentioning the administrative units of the Cholas. In fact, that when it comes to the dynasties, when it comes to the monarchies, so they were the first ruler who initiated the process of the decentralization. Then, and what is this decentralization? That they divided their kingdom or their territory into many subdivisions, and on these all subdivisions officers were appointed. But why we say decentralized? Because that when the officers are having autonomy and the sufficient power, so this is the process of the decentralization. You are creating a subdivision and you are not giving them autonomy, so then that cannot be said as the decentralization. But here the sufficient powers and autonomy was given to the people who were appointed as officer at these all levels. Moreover, not just the administrative things, that decentralized administrative things were associated with the Cholas, but they're also known for some other things. For example, that we have come across that till this point of time, we have not come across any such instance where the rulers are acting as the bankers. Then there were the bankers, but rulers were not acting as the bankers. So these Cholas were the first ruler who acted as a banking and financial institution. Basically, giving loan and taking interest on the loan is the job of the banker, but this was done by the Cholas also, and they always promoted trade and commerce in their area. There are a few other things also related to temple I will discuss, but first you write administration of cholas as a heading. ठीक है, so उसमें जितना भी होगा everything we will write. Then not just the administrative, that different units, but also this what I mentioned, banking kind of thing. So please mention as a heading administration of cholas. Administration of cholas as a heading, and write few words while I'm creating the subdivision. So please mention perhaps Cholas were the first ruler. Cholas were the first ruler who initiated the process of decentralization. Who initiated the process of decentralization. Then further write, they created many subdivisions. They created many subdivisions in their area. Many subdivisions in their area. Many subdivisions in their area, and officers were appointed. Officers were appointed with sufficient autonomy and power. Were appointed with sufficient autonomy and power. With sufficient autonomy and power. Full stop. Then you write, subdivisions are as follows. Subdivisions are as follows. So I'm writing these subdivisions just the way we have written in the Gupta. So वैसे ही यहाँ पे भी subdivision. So I'll be cautious enough so that I'm not misplacing the chronology or sequence. So first is the Chola Mandalam. Chola Mandalam. Then second place it would be Mandalam. Let me write all of them. So Chola Mandalam and Mandalam. Then Valanadu. Valanadu. After Valanadu, Kottam. Kottam. So Chola Mandalam would be the entire Chola territory. Entire Chola territory. Mandalam is the province. Valanadu would be the blocks. And Kottam would be the village. You can also mention after Valanadu, Nadu. Then Nadu can also be mentioned. Let me write over here Nadu also. That's how Tamil Nadu is the name. So Nadu, and Nadu you can mention as the town or big village. Town or big village. And small village is Kottam. So this would be the sequence: Chola Mandalam, Mandalam, Valanadu, Nadu, and Kottam. I'll give you 1 minute. लिख लो. So this is the one part. Then after writing this, you will be changing paragraph and then we'll be writing about that that they were acting as a financial institution. But let me add a few more things before we write. So Chola rulers, they were also one of the finest temple builders of that time. And they were one of the finest temple builders of that time. Temples, you know, that temples are not that created generally. What is the mainstream belief that it is a place of the worship. Obviously, it is the place of the worship. But at this point of time, temple was also the center of education, and temple was also the area of the market activity. Chola rulers deliberately, when they created the temples, so around the temples they developed market. And you know that human psychology, and you know about yourself also that many a times, very often when you go to market, you are going to market just that one such particular thing is in your mind, that for that particular object you are going to market to buy, but you end up buying so many things. That's how human psychology works, that you most of the time you end up buying so many things in an unplanned way. So temple is an area where regularly people would be coming, and when they will be seeing a lucrative market, so many things are offered over there, so market activity would be promoted, people will be buying things from the temple. So this was also in the this was also the thought process with the Chola rulers, that why they created temples in the middle of the cities. They often created temples in the middle of the cities so that market activity will also flourish with the temple. Then, so please write that Cholas, Chola rulers also acted as Chola rulers also acted as bankers or financial institutions. Also acted as bankers or financial institution whereby they provided loan to the people whereby they provided loan to the people and charged interest and charged interest loan to the people and charged interest, full stop. Then you write after full stop, Chola were one of the finest Chola were one of the finest temple builders of that time. One of the finest temple builders of that time. One of the finest temple builders of that time. Further you write, temple was not just temple was not just temple was not just place of worship place of worship, but it was also the center of education. But it was also center of education and area of market activity. An area of market activity. Area of market activity. And one last information that I need to tell you about the Cholas. So Chola rulers, there were many first attached to them. As I said to you that that at this point of time they started the decentralizing tendency. Then they acted as a bankers also, and moreover, the last one. So they are also known for developing many rain harvesting devices. When you look at the domain in which that the area territory in which they were ruling, so though some areas are water sufficient areas where these areas are receiving the monsoonal rain, particularly the retreating monsoon in the Chennai in and around area, but the hinterland, the rain shadow area where rain is not happening very frequently, so there was very much requirement of the water harvesting devices, and the Chola rulers not only created the rain harvesting devices, but they also wrote inscription regarding the rainwater harvesting. Then so they created rainwater harvesting devices, and they also wrote inscriptions regarding how to conserve water. Then so please write that perhaps they were the first rulers, perhaps they were the first rulers who emphasized on the importance of rainwater harvesting, emphasized on the importance of rainwater harvesting. Moreover, they also wrote inscriptions regarding water conservation, and this last part that you are writing, it's a very recent information. I think in 2018 some inscription of the Cholas was it came that it was excavated by the archaeologist, and that's how we came to know about that they were also writing about the water conservation. So they were also writing about the water conservation. So this is all about this mainline Chola dynasty and also the ancient history. So today is the class number ninth. Then, so in the ninth class, it's ninth class or eighth class? I think this is, is it eighth class? So 7.5 classes. We are done with the ancient history. Chalo, this is not bad. So from here onwards, how many classes is required? That today I'll be starting the medieval, 3 more classes after the today's class. So 3 more classes, we will be complete with the ancient and medieval history. So if you have any questions, again I'm saying that please send your questions, and I'll be replying to those. Meanwhile, I'm giving you the break, and after the break, we'll start with the medieval history. Okay? And in the medieval, but the first would be the Islamic invasions. So listen, some of you have asked some questions. So the battle between Chera, Chola and Pandya was the same of the battle of Sri Purambiam, where Cholas betrayed Pallava. It is Tirupurambiam. Some books, maybe in some books it is written Sri Purambiam, but it's Tirupurambiam, which was between the Pandya ruler Virugnavan and then Pallavas, and then here the Cholas betrayed. Exactly, it is the same battle which I'm mentioning, whereby the Cholas came to power. And Vijay, I will be telling you this wahi start karne wale hain about this Arab traveler. So now, Ikshvaku, Anjali have asked about the Ikshvaku. No, Anjali, I have not come across any question related to the Ikshvaku, which is related to their history, but definitely Ikshvakus, we will be discussing over there in the art and culture, in sculpture part, when I will be mentioning the Amravati sculpture. So there is a mention of the Ikshvaku, but for the time being, you just listen that Ikshvakus were the parts of the Satavahan area. Then they were the parts of the Satavahan area. They were not a very big dynasty. Like Ikshvaku, there were many others also in India. There were Chedis, there were Vakatakas, there were Ikshvaku. There were so many dynasties. So you don't need to read it very elaborately, but you understand that they had a role in the Amaravati sculpture, which we would be mentioning in the culture part. Then Imperial Chola, so some students are asking whether this Imperial Chola came from the Sangam age Chola. कहाँ थे तुम लोग? Let me ask this question. When I was telling this thing, you guys were sleeping. Yeah, I know. That's the comfort of the home, that you guys were sleeping. चलो चाय लेके बैठा करो क्लास में. Then that would be good. So I was telling you there was a relation. Then there was a relation. कहाँ थे? पहली जब start किया तभी तो बोल रहा था मैं. That point only I was telling you that what was the relation between the Imperial Chola and then Sangamate Chola. So it means that you guys are inside your quilts, and then you are sleeping. Sometime you are looking at the class, and sometime you are sleeping. Then many of you are asking about that. Besides reading the class notes and solving past year paper, what else is required to be read? So I have already told you those books which you need to read. That particular book, which book I told you? I think that I have told you reading the Romila Thapar book or R.A. Sharma book. Then so you can read these books, that these NCRT books, but कोई भी guide book मत पढ़ना. That is not at all required. And this is just the beginning of the art and ancient and medieval classes. See that ancient, medieval and art and culture combined, it makes the course. Then so combined it makes the course. Once your art and culture syllabus would be over, that itself will tell you that hell lot of things you have covered in the classes. And moreover, the remembering the or memorizing the things which are there in ancient, medieval and art and culture itself would be a bigger task. So I will say that go one by one. First, try to consolidate your course of ancient and medieval, which is going to get completed very recently, that very soon. So first you try to memorize this part of the class notes, then you can do the value addition from the NCRTs, or simultaneously if you are doing it, so then that's good. But I will not suggest, I will not say you to refer any guidebook. That is not at all required. And when I say guidebook, so mainly this guidebook is I'm referring to those publications, Spectrum, TMH, Pearson. Nothing you need to read for this section. Nothing you need to read. You don't need to refer. बस इतना ही रखो, बहुत ज़्यादा emotions में बहकने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. We need to be very, we need to do the cost benefit analysis of a particular section. And in this section, if you are moving beyond this much resources, so you are wasting your time. So in this particular exam preparation, you need to draw a boundary between how much is okay, how much you need to read, and how much is too much for the preparation. So you don't need to go beyond the boundary of the too much. You don't need to enter into the too much kind of thing in this exam, because so many subjects are there and each and every subject is important. So you need to dedicate your time to all the subjects, and you need to be very specific about what books you are reading, what reference material you are reading, and unnecessarily you are not burdening your preparation. By buying so many books on the one subject, it will just create a pressure on you. It is uh, uh, impossible, I will tell this word, that it is impossible to remember 10 books on one subject and within a year only. It's really impossible, and it is not a wise strategy. So again, what I'm saying, refer one book, re revise it 10 times, 15 times. You will definitely clear the exam with very good rank. So this is what, when you talk to the toppers in personal, when you talk to the toppers in personal, they will tell you the exact strategy what they followed. Everybody follows this strategy only, that they read less number of the books but more number of time. And this is what is the one most important key to the success. You cannot believe that you will be reading 10 books and you will be able to retain everything from the book. That's insane. It is not possible. So with this note, I will be, and thank you Shwati for your compliments. I am always overwhelmed with your compliments. So now I'll be starting with the medieval history. And as I said to you that in the medieval history, when we were writing the chronology, so I didn't mention about the Islamic invasions in India. So the very first thing is the background of the medieval period, that is the Islamic invasions in India. So the the first Islamic invader that we are going to talk about, that is Muhammad bin Qasim, 712, and that is the time when this Rashtra, what is that, Pratihar Gurjaras were there. So that's what, Vijay, your question was, that Arab invader, so that's Muhammad bin Qasim. So let's talk about the Muhammad bin Qasim. So medieval India, and in medieval India, let's begin with the Islamic invasion in India. A heading you write, Islamic invasion in India. There are many headings. This is the second heading, and then the third heading is the invasion of Muhammad bin Qasim. Invasion of Muhammad bin Qasim. Invasion of Muhammad bin Qasim in 712 AD. So invasion of Muhammad bin Qasim in 712 AD. Listen. So listen a little bit about this Muhammad bin Qasim, that what were the reasons that why he invaded in this Indian territory, and moreover 712 is the initial century of the Islam. You know that the time period of the Prophet Muhammad, it was somewhere around 622, 600, that in 7th century AD Islam emerged, and within the first century, that in the very first century of the Islam came to India. Then so Islam in India is as old as Islam in the world. Then so now listen, that this why the Muhammad bin Qasim attacked on India, or why he came to Indian subcontinent. So thank you, Asis, for your compliments. So first of all, I will draw one map, and with this map you'll be able to understand. So just keep your focus here. So just let me draw, give me a little bit of time so that I can draw this map. This map is important from the part of the understanding. So as you can see what it looks like, this is the Arabian Sea. This area looks like Arabian Sea. And here we have, this is our Gujarat area. And this area of the Indian subcontinent, Pakistan was part of the India. So Indian subcontinent, this area is the Sindh. So this is the Sindh area. Now, this particular dynasty or invader, Muhammad bin Qasim, he was the ruler of the Arabia. Then he was the ruler of this Arab world, and the dynasty to which Muhammad bin Qasim belonged, it was known as the Umayyad dynasty. Umayyad dynasty. It's a very interesting story that why he attacked, why he invaded India. So now listen, that these Arab people, they had trade relation with the Indian Malabar coast of India, or Konkan coast and Malabar coast of India, from time immemorial, from very long time. So these Arab people, they were using the monsoon winds, and they were coming to the Indian subcontinent, that India, and they were trading so many things from India. Now, this Umayyad dynasty ruler was the Muhammad bin Qasim, and there was this Sindh area. Sindh area was ruled by a ruler. His name was Dahir. कहानी सुन लो, लिखने के लिए थोड़ा बहुत होगा, but कहानी is very interesting. So the Sindh ruler was Dahir. He was a Hindu ruler of the Sindh, Dahir. Then he had a very important port in this Arabian Sea area, closer to the Persian Gulf. Then so this port was, which was here, the name of the port was the Deval. And Deval, you can say that it is exactly the Karachi port. Then so Karachi port, today's Karachi port. So Deval port was there. Now, whenever any Arabian ship, that most of these Arabian ships, they are coming from this is Persian Gulf. So ships are coming from this area slowly, and then they are moving to this parts of the country, Gujarat. They are going to Gujarat, they are going to these all areas for the trade purpose. Now what happened, that the army of the, or people of the Dahir's area, or his own personals, they were stationed at the Deval, and they often looted the ships which were coming from this area, Persian Gulf area. So they were looting the ships which were coming from the Persian Gulf area, and many a times the ships of the Muhammad bin Qasim, they were looted by looted at the Deval port. So when they were looted at the Deval port, obviously he is irritated by this one. So he decided to teach a lesson to the Dahir, who was the ruler of this area. So that's how Muhammad bin Qasim attacked on Sindh area in 712 AD, and he attacked on 712 AD, and he defeated and captured Dahir. He killed Dahir. So he defeated and captured and killed Dahir, and then he established his control over Sindh area. Now there is a one more episode associated with it. Will not be writing. This not for the writing purpose. Just you remember the story. So there is one more episode that there was you. I hope that you must be knowing the institution of the caliphate. Then so Khalifa, the institution of the Khalifa in the Islam or caliphate. So there was a that the Khalifa basically was one institution. So the caliphate is in Turkey. So between this Umayyad dynasty and caliphate, Khalifa, then there was not a good relation. They were not enjoying a smooth relationship. So they didn't had good relation. So this ruler, Muhammad bin Qasim, he wanted to streamline its relation with the caliphate. Then its relation with the caliphate or Khalifa of the Turkey. So what happened? He wanted to smoothen his relationship with the caliphate. So what he did, he not only killed Dahir, but he captured two daughters of the Dahir. Then, so he captured two daughters of Dahir, and what he did that these two daughters of Dahir, they were given as a gift to the caliphate, to the Khalifa. They were presented as a gift to the Khalifa or the caliphate, and it's a kind of a token of gratitude or token of that I want to streamline relationship with you. So then when these two daughters were presented to the caliphate, what they did that since they were also very much frustrated, they were also very much angry that their father was killed by Muhammad bin Qasim. So what they did, these two ladies, they played a trick. And these two ladies, they played a trick. What they said to the caliphate, that sir, this person, Muhammad bin Qasim, has presented us to you as a gift. Then, and these two beautiful ladies as a gift. But you know that what he did before presenting us to you, he adulterated us, then both of us, and then he exclaimed that now the caliphate will be having adulterated gift, and he has presented us before you as unadulterated gift. Then so the caliphate got angry on this end, and they ordered to eliminate Muhammad bin Qasim, and that's how Muhammad bin Qasim was not eliminated by any other Indian ruler but by the caliphate only. So though his rule was for the small time, that just for 5-6 years over there in India, but his rule ended with the orders of the caliphate. So this is how the invasion of the Muhammad bin Qasim was there, and very soon it was removed from India. But there was one influence of this. Influence of this is that small duration rule of the Muhammad bin Qasim, that arrival of Islam in India, and more contacts established with the Arabian world. Because of the arrival of the Islam, more trade contacts established with the Arabian world. Then, so this is the first invasion, that is in 712. And Muhammad bin Qasim, while being over here, he also wanted to extend his territory into the Rajasthan area, where this person which I told you, Nagabhat, who was there, he repelled him. Then, so that's what Vijay I was telling at that point of time. Then, so abhi ke liye will not be writing entire story, but I hope this story will help you in understanding that why Muhammad bin Qasim is coming to India. Then, so he was in fact very right that his ships were looted, and he must be taking the revenge of that. That's how he came to India. So please write few words about this. In 712 AD, Muhammad bin Qasim of Umayyad dynasty, I have written this on the board so you can see the spelling of Umayyad dynasty. Muhammad bin Qasim of Umayyad dynasty invaded Sindh area. Then you write invaded Sindh area. He had grievance against Sindh ruler Dahir. He had grievance against Sindh ruler Dahir, whose people looted ships of Muhammad bin Qasim, at the port of Deval. Full stop. Port of Deval. After full stop. Qasim, after defeating Dahir established his rule in Sindh. But very soon he was eliminated by Caliphate. He was eliminated by Caliphate. So this is the beginning. Then you write, change paragraph, and then you mention little bit that influence of this arrival. So you write, with the arrival of Qasim, Islam arrived in Indian subcontinent. With the arrival of Qasim, Islam arrived in Indian subcontinent. And it also promoted more trade contact between Indian and Arabs. More trade contact between Indians and Arabs. So this was the very first invasion. Okay? So very first invasion, that is in 712 AD. In fact, you can say that 712 AD as the this would be the early medieval, or we can say that late ancient. Then now the second invasion we need to mention. So the second invasion is invasion of the Mahmud of Ghazni. Then so next you write Islamic invasion mein second one. So invasion of Mahmud of Ghazni. Now here also you listen. So why this Mahmud of Ghazni, he is coming to India? What is his purpose? So first of all, listen that by 10th century AD, by the end of 10th century AD, volatile situation arisen in the Middle East. There was a volatile situation. Please don't write, just listen. I'll dictate this part. So volatile situation arose in Middle East and West Asia. I hope you understand what is Middle East and West Asia. So this is the area where Islam was flourishing at this point of time. So in this area that of the Middle East and West Asia, a volatile situation arose. Then by the end of the 10th century AD. What was this volatile situation? So basically, that this area of the West Asia and Middle East, it was constantly attacked by the Central Asians. Then, so it was constantly attacked by the Central Asians, and these Central Asians, I have mentioned over there in the Vedic period also. Who were the Central Asian? Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz, Turkmen, and Uzbekistan. So the people from this area. And moreover, these Central Asians, they were devotees of the nature. They were the worshipper of the nature. They were not following any other religion. Then, so these Central Asians who were the followers of the nature, who did not follow any religion, and they started constantly attacking in this Middle East and West Asia. So this was the time that one such person or one such ruler or one such personality was required who can challenge the Central Asians. So this person was the first Ghazi of the this area, and that Ghazi is the Mahmud of the Ghazni. So this person was the Ghazni. Then, so Mahmud of Ghazni. On one hand, Mahmud of Ghazni started fighting with this Central Asian. On the other hand, you know that fighting is a costly process. He needed money. Then he needed wealth. Moreover, not only he needed wealth, but one more such thing that he wanted to spread Islam all over the world. Not all over the world, but all over the world would be a little bit exaggerated term, but he wanted to spread Islam, that we need to tell. So what he did, that in his second endeavor, that spreading the Islam, so he was supported by one of his court poet, and name of this court poet was the Firdausi. Then, so Firdausi wrote a book. Firdausi wrote a book. Name of this book was the Sahnama, and this book created an indelible impact on the minds of the Central Asians, that many of them, majority of the Central Asians, they accepted Islam. So that's how, on one hand, the Central Asians who are the invader and they are becoming the followers of the Islam. On the other hand, Mahmud of Ghazni was knowing about that the richest place closer to him was the India, and in India itself that temples of the India were the richest. So he started attacking on the Indian temples, and as it is said about him that he attacked on the Indian temples 17 times. 17 times he invaded India. He destroyed many temples of India. He looted many temples of India. And one final thing about him, that he was the one who started the destruction of the Somnath temple. So in the West Asia, the image of this person, Mahmud of Ghazni, is of cultural regenerated, but in Indian history, he is seen as a plunderer, and not just a plunderer, but a person who can never be forgiven by us Indians. The reason being that why we cannot forgive him, if he had intention of the loot, he must have looted and he must have gone. But what he did after that, that was not something which is pardonable. So whenever he was looting India, whenever he was coming to India, so he was not only destroying the temples, looting the temples, but what all he was doing, he was killing the children, he was killing the men, he was raping the women, and then he was also dragging the women, taking the women to his own market, selling them in the market. So for this particular thing, we can never forgive Mahmud of Ghazni even infinite times. Then, so even infinite times, and this is this is what he did at this point of time. Many often it is quoted. Muhammad bin Qasim was perfectly right that why he attacked in India, but this person can never be said so. Then, so I hope that you will also never forgive this kind of person. If loot is your aim, you loot it then, but what you did after it, that is not something which can be forgiven. So please write few words about him. So many a times I feel that writing some words about them is also a kind of unnecessarily remembering their name. Then, so please write. Uh, by the end of 10th century AD, by the end of 10th century AD, a volatile situation, a volatile situation arised, a volatile situation arised in Middle East and West Asia. Middle East and West Asia. In Middle East and West Asia. Further, you mention Middle East and West Asia. The Samanid dynasty of this area, So basically he belonged to the Samanid dynasty. So you can write this name. The Samanid dynasty of this area was constantly, the Samanid dynasty of this area was constantly under the attack of Central Asians. Was constantly under the attack of Central Asians who were under the attack of Central Asians who were the followers of nature, who were the followers of nature, who were the followers of nature, full stop. Then further you mention, in this situation, in this situation, in this situation, Mahmud of Ghazni emerged. In this situation, Mahmud of Ghazni emerged, who had two tasks before him, who had two tasks before him, who had two tasks before him. So first one you write, first task, protect the Samanid area from Central Asians, protect the Samanid area from Central Asians, and spread Islam in the world, and spread Islam in the world, spread Islam in the world. Then you write, Ghazni was supported by his court poet. Ghazni was supported by his court poet Firdausi. His court poet Firdausi was supported by his court poet Firdausi, who wrote Sahnama. Who wrote Sahnama? Who wrote Sahnama? Then you write, this book created, or Sahnama created an indelible impact, indelible, I-N-D-E-L-I-B-L-E, indelible impact on the minds of Central Asians, on the minds of Central Asians, indelible impact on the minds of Central Asians, that many of them, or majority of them you can write, that majority of them accepted Islam, accepted Islam and became strongest defenders of Islam, strongest defenders of Islam and crusaders from Islam, strongest defenders of Islam and crusaders from Islam, and crusaders from Islam. Then further you write after this, strongest defenders and crusaders. Mahmud of Ghazni, you can change paragraph and then you write, Mahmud of Ghazni decided to loot the rich temples of India. Mahmud of Ghazni decided to loot the rich temples of India. Rich temples of India. As such, he invaded India 17 times. As such, he invaded India 17 times. As such, he invaded India 17 times. His last invasion was on his last invasion was on Temple of Somnath. His last invasion was on Temple of Somnath in 1025 AD. In 1025 AD. Full stop, and then last line you write. You can change paragraph if you want. So please mention, though the image of Gajini is cultural regenerator in West Asia, but he was a plunderer in Indian history. He was a plunderer in Indian history and cannot be forgiven for the crimes he committed in India. And cannot be forgiven for the crimes he committed in India. So that was the episode of the Mahmud of Ghajini. He died. It is said that after 5 years, that 1025 he invaded Somnath temple, and 1030 he died. And his death was also a very painful death. And that was, he deserved to. He deserved to have a painful death. Then, so this kind of people, they must die slow death. Then death must not come easy to this kind of people. It must be slow death so that they can feel the pain of the death. They must want the death immediately. So this is the best kind of punishment that can be given by the God to this kind of personalities. Then, so now listen to the next part, the last invader, and this is the final invader, which will lead to the establishment of the Islamic rule in India. So this invasion is of the Muhammad Ghori. Then, so Muhammad Ghori, or very kind of frequently we say Muhammad Ghori. Ghori is a kind of a that popular name, but otherwise his name was Muhammad Ghori. So last invasion you write, invasion of Muhammad Ghori. Invasion of Muhammad Ghori. Now listen, what happened that by the beginning of the 12th century AD, the area of the Samanid. Then, so the area in the area of the Samanid, and what is this area of the Samanid? This is Middle East and West Asia. So this Samanid dynasty was replaced by Seljuks. Then, so this Samanid dynasty is replaced by Seljuk by the 12th century AD. So these Seljuks are basically the new converts of the Islam, that is the Central Asian. So Seljuks are the Central Asian and Samanid were the original ones. Then, so these Seljuks, they became the ruler. But that in the 13th century, what happened? 12th century. So by the end of the 12th century, so yes. So by the end of the 11th century, Seljuks were there in this Samanid area, and by the middle of the 12th century, some fight started among the Seljuk itself. So Seljuk people, they started to fight among themselves. So these Seljuks, they were fighting for one. They started fighting with each other. They themselves fighting with each other, and they were divided into two branches. Let me write it. Just 1 minute. So they were divided into two branches. The Khwarizmi Seljuk, and another was the Ghurid Seljuk. So they were divided into two branches, Khwarizmi Seljuk and Ghurid Seljuk. And why these two branches were fighting with each other? they wanted to control one very important area at this point of time, and that area was the Syria. So they were fighting for establishing control over Syria. So they were fighting for having control over Syria, and they fought a battle. These two branches, they fought with each other. In this fight, these Khwarizmi, they were victorious in controlling Syria. So they were victorious in controlling Syria. Now, the Ghurid branch of the Seljuk, it decided that now it will focus on the other area to increase their power, and the Ghurid ruler was this Muhammad Ghuri, who decided to invade India. And already the examples were that the success was already there before him, that he has seen the success of the Mahmud of Ghazni. So he decided that he will invade India. So from 1170 onwards, he started invading India. So this is how it all started. So you write few words about this Muhammad Ghuri, that how it all started. So you write, by the end of 11th century, by the end of 11th century, Seljuks started to rule in West Asia. Seljuks started to rule in West Asia. West Asia. Then you further write, on the question of Syria, Seljuks were divided into two branches. On the question of Syria, Seljuks were divided into two branches. That is Khwarizmi and Ghurid. The spelling is written on the board, you can see. So that is Khwarizmi and Ghurid. Khwarizmi and Ghurid. Full stop. Then you write, Khwarizmi Seljuk were successful in controlling Syria. Khwarizmi Seljuk were successful in controlling Syria. As such, Muhammad Ghuri of Ghurid decided to divert his attention towards Indian subcontinent. Now listen from here onwards. So 1170 onwards, he started to attack on the Indian territory. So this person, Muhammad Ghuri, he was successful in annexing the Multan area and Uch area in the Indian subcontinent, particularly these two areas in the present-day Pakistan. So Multan and Uch he annexed, but he faced defeat in the hands of the Gujarati ruler Bhimdev Solanki. So earlier this Somnath temple area and Mahmud of Ghazni was successful, but now Gujaratis were well prepared for any other such eventuality at this point of time. So Raja Bhimdev Solanki, he defeated this person, Muhammad Ghuri. So Muhammad Ghuri was defeated. Then what happened? So Muhammad Ghuri was a person who was kind of that he, once he has faced a defeat, so he was already into the preparation of the next war. So he never thought that once he is defeated, so he will always be defeated. So he never lost hope, and many a times his stories are written in many such lower grade class lessons. So what he did, that he had his eye on the area of the Bhatinda. Listen this, he had his eye on the area of the Bhatinda, and Bhatinda at that point of time was known as Tabar Hind. So when he when he started his campaign towards controlling the Bhatinda, so he had to fight with one Indian ruler who was the ruler of the Bhatinda, that who was the ruler from Ajmer, ruler of Ajmer, but controlling Bhatinda. So on the question of the Tabar Hind, the battle between Muhammad Ghori and this Indian ruler who was Prithviraj Chauhan happened. That was the first battle of Tarain in 1191, and in this battle Prithviraj Chauhan thoroughly defeated Muhammad Ghori. I will tell you later part of the story, but first you write this much. So you write that from 1170s, 1170s, Muhammad Ghori, 1170, Muhammad Ghori started invading Indian territory. Indian territory, full stop. Though he was defeated by Raja Bhim Solanki, though he was defeated by Raja Bhim Solanki of Gujarat, but he was successful in annexing Uch and Multan. He was successful in annexing Uch and Multan. UCCH, Uch, and then Multan. Then you write, on the question of Tabar Hind, you can see the spelling, how it is written, Tabar Hind. So Tabar Hind, on the question of Tabar Hind, and in brackets you can write Bhatinda. Muhammad Ghori, on the question of Tabar Hind or Bhatinda, Muhammad Ghori fought with Indian ruler Prithviraj Chauhan. Indian ruler Prithviraj Chauhan of Ajmer. Prithviraj Chauhan of Ajmer in first battle of Tarain. 1191. In first battle of Tarain, 1191. 1191. Full stop. Prithviraj thoroughly defeated Ghori in this battle. Prithviraj thoroughly defeated Ghori in this battle. Full stop. Now listen. So, पहले में तो defeat हो गई. Then after what happened? So then after there was one episode. Listen to this. That there was one more ruler at this point of time, one more Rajput ruler of the Kannauj. His name was the Jaichand. So Jaichand was the ruler of the Kannauj, and the daughter of the Jaichand, her name was Sanyogita. She eloped with the Prithviraj Chauhan against the wishes of her father. So what happened when this news was that when Muhammad Ghori came to know about this particular incident, so he utilized this incident to provoke Jaichand, then against Prithviraj Chauhan. And again he prepared for the second battle. So as such, due to the conspiracy which was hatched by Jaichand, in the second battle of Tarain 1192, Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated, and later on he was eliminated also. So this is how the end of the Prithviraj Chauhan happened, and the beginning of the informal Turkish rule in India will happen. So please write that Muhammad Ghori hatched a conspiracy. Muhammad Ghori hatched a conspiracy with the ruler of Kannauj, Jaichand. Ruler of Kannauj, Jaichand, whose daughter Sanyogita eloped with Prithviraj Chauhan. I have written PRC. That's not People's Republic of China. So that is short form of the Prithviraj Chauhan. So eloped with Prithviraj Chauhan. And you know that it's always a fun. It's not that just the modern times that we love that किसी के साथ भाग के शादी करने का मजा है. पुराने टाइम पे भी ऐसा था. आज के टाइम पे है बट पुराने टाइम पे भी ऐसा था. हाँ, until and unless भाग के शादी करने में अब एक चीज तुम्हें ध्यान रखना होगा कि you will have to take care of the love jihad. You are not doing the love jihad. Then so भाग के शादी करो जब we met. So so she also did the same thing. Then so she eloped with the Prithviraj Chauhan, both with the Rajputs. It must not have been such a pride issue, but for Jaichand it became a pride issue. Then so he hatched a conspiracy with the Muhammad Ghori, and then the second battle of Tarain happened in 1192. So you write, as such, in the second battle of Tarain, as such, in the second battle of Tarain, 1192, Muhammad Ghori defeated Prithviraj Chauhan, and later he was eliminated. Now listen. So the Prithviraj Chauhan story ends here. After this, what happened? That since Jaichand has supported Muhammad Ghori, so Muhammad Ghori instantly, he did not annex large area. He did not annex much area in India. In fact, that he went back to his own place, and in 1194 he sent his trusted slave, his trusted officer and slave, Kutubuddin Aibak. Then so in 1194 Kutubuddin Aibak, who was the trusted slave of the Muhammad Ghori, he defeated Jaichand in the battle of Chandavar, defeated and killed Jaichand. So एक हिंदी में कहावत है जैसे को तैसा. So if Jaichand did this thing to the Prithviraj Chauhan, so same thing was waiting for him. So जैसा बोओगे वैसा पाओगे. The thing that you are going to sow, the same kind of fruits you will reap. So that's what happened to the Jaichand. So Jaichand was finally eliminated in 1194 in the battle of Chandavar by the trusted slave of the Kutubuddin Aibak. Trusted slave of the Muhammad Ghori, that is Kutubuddin Aibak, and from here onwards the informal Turkish rule started. Informal, I'm saying, because they did not establish the Sultanate in India. They were ruling over there from their own area. Then whatever area they captured, they were ruling from their own area. And finally in 1206, when this Muhammad Ghori, he came to India, Muhammad Ghori, and when he was returning back from India, so he was killed by some Khokhar. Then that there is a one type of the people, Khokhar. So Khokhars killed him, and after he was killed, so what happened in this situation? Kutubuddin Aibak declared the formation of the Delhi Sultanate. So the kingdom is going to get created in 1206 after the death of the Muhammad Ghori. So please write after this, you change paragraph and then you write that in 1194, the trusted slave of Ghori, Kutubuddin Aibak, trusted slave of Ghori, Kutubuddin Aibak, defeated and killed Jaichand, in battle of Chandavar. Full stop. Again you change line or paragraph, and then you mention in 1206, when Muhammad Ghori was killed by Khokhars, in 1206, when Muhammad Ghori was killed by Khokhars, Kutubuddin Aibak declared the establishment of Delhi Sultanate. Qutbuddin Aibak declared the establishment of Delhi Sultanate in 1206. Establishment of Delhi Sultanate in 1206. So tomorrow's class will be starting with the Delhi Sultanate, and very first dynasty, that would be the Delhi's that slave dynasty of the Delhi Sultanate. So tomorrow we are going to start with the Delhi Sultanate. That's the topic. Tomorrow it will continue, and day after tomorrow it will be the Delhi Sultanate. So what was the class number? I was confused today. In here it is written class number 7 was tomorrow, so it is 8. I think it is the 9th class. So maybe, so today is the 9th class, so let's see how many classes are required. 3 classes at least I need to complete the syllabus. So chalo, I'm winding up class here today. Meet you not tomorrow. I don't think that tomorrow we have class. So Sunday we have class. So Sunday we'll be starting with this topic. Chalo, thank you. Thank you everybody.